The first time I heard someone say that bankers were afraid of bitcoins and that bitcoins were the bane of the bankster, I thought, come on, do people really believe that for real? Like, seriously? Who actually believes that, you know? And when I talked with people that were Bitcoiners, both on and off the record, man, I was told I just didn't know what I was talking about when I said that bankers could not be afraid of something that they could buy on open markets with money you'll never imagine having in a million lifetimes. They can create them in banks of servers, warehouses full of servers that prove that Bitcoins can't be the money of the little guy because the little guy ain't mining these things. And I've heard from no less luminaries than Bill Still and others that the banksters manipulate Bitcoins the same way they manipulate all sorts of other things. And all of this leads me to believe that I don't see how a banker would be afraid of Bitcoins. I just don't see how bankers would find them to be the bane of anything. Not with respect to bankers, that is. Just it doesn't seem to make at face value logical sense. When I remind people, for example, that in 2013, before the Senate, there was what was known as a Bitcoin love fest, where the DOJ, the SEC, the FBI, the Federal Reserve all spoke about Bitcoins, specifically cryptocurrencies generally, making comments like, you know, they found that cryptocurrencies could have very positive impacts on society as a whole and banking as an industry. When I brought that up, I was told I just didn't understand that that was just misdirection by the bankers. They're just they really don't like it. They really hate it. But they put together the whole dog and pony show, and it was literally just to get us off the trail of what they really think and what they really believe. January 2015, Coinbase brought in $75 million from, among other folks, the NYSE group, the folks at the New York Stock Exchange. But interestingly enough, there's some other investors here you might not know of. For example, Vikram Pandit, the former Citigroup CEO, and Thomson Reuters CEO, Tom Glosser, personally investing in Coinbase, a Bitcoin payment processor. And when I bring that up, I mean, people say, "Oh no, that's not really mainstream. That's just a very small. It's only 75 million. That doesn't count." When I bring up the fact that the Winklevoss twins have an ETF they're trying to get Wall Street to embrace, and I point out to people that all of this would indicate that bankers, Wall Street, not really afraid of Bitcoins, more likely than not, either excited about the opportunities to get involved or create their own versions, or maybe some have said, I don't know how you would prove it, but some have said that that Bitcoins are the construct of the banking elite. But whenever I point any of this stuff out, I'm told I just don't understand. This time is different. This time, the paradigm shift is radically different. Bankers are definitely afraid of this. They're frightened. They're running like crazy away from this new and different technology. When I hear that, and I remind people that since the dawn of money, there's been this arc of time which begins with hard currency. We'll call it copper, gold, silver, platinum, whatever. Even clad coinage being used as money. To paper representations of that, to written checks, which are representations of the paper, which were representations of, well, nothing anymore, but used to be representations of hard currency like copper, silver, and gold. And then checks replaced with credit cards, replaced with online payment with things like PayPal, where now you don't ever even have to touch physical money and have it just transfer back and forth. You could get paid, have that go to PayPal, and use your PayPal debit card to buy groceries and never, ever touch money. When I point out to people that Milton Friedman 20 years ago talked about internet money, and that people, when the internet first began, were working on payment systems online, and that none of this is really new. With J.P. Morgan, as crazy as it might sound, trying to patent the technology. From December of 2013, J.P. Morgan files patent for Bitcoin-style payment system. JP Morgan Chase filed a U.S. patent application for a computerized payment system that resembles some aspects of Bitcoin, the quote controversial end quote virtual currency. When I show these things to people, when I try to speak as rationally as I can about this, to explain that Bitcoins are the architecture of the archetype for what's coming in a a sweeping arc of time for the last 200 years. When I show this to people, I just continue to hear from the Bitcoiners that I don't understand. I don't get it. It's just different. You know, I should bone up on my programming or something. And when I hear all of that, and then see a headline like this, well, it makes you think. Bitcoin revolution will not be the next internet, says Bank of England. The Bank of England has unveiled analysis of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin that suggests electronic money will not cause a tectonic shift in the payment industry. Subtext, the Bank of England says it will not create its own digital currency. And when I see this headline, I see this article, this would be the piece of information, this would be an absolute tacit feather in the cap of the Bitcoiners who say that this time is different. The Bank of England saying they're not going to make their own digital currency. The Bank of England saying it will not be a revolution like the internet. The Bank of England saying it won't cause a tectonic shift in the payments industry. The story would absolutely be something which would begin to negate what I've been saying for years, and would begin to negate what everyone from the SEC to Vikram Pandit at Coinbase, investor in Coinbase, have been saying as well. This sort of article would indicate, well, okay, maybe bankers, at least the Bank of England, maybe they don't like Bitcoins and they don't like the technology, because here they are saying it's not going to change nothing, no revolution coming, and they're not going to make their own digital currency. Well, this absolutely would be some sort of proof that maybe this time it was different, except for the fact that, like so much Bitcoin lore, the headline I just showed you, that was phony. The reality is the Bank of England says that the Bitcoin revolution could be the next internet. The Bank of England has actually unveiled analysis that says electronic money could cause a, quote, tectonic shift in the payments industry. And they say they've suggested they would create their own digital currency. Article begins, the arrival of electronic currencies could revolutionize the way Britons pay for goods and services in much the same way as the internet shook up how we access information, the Bank of England has said. Cashless forms of payment like the cryptocurrency Bitcoin, quote, potentially combined with mobile technology, may reshape the mechanisms for making secure payments, the central bank said. The bank could itself create digital currencies, making the new system available as it does with banknotes today. Gosh, I wonder where you might have heard that story before. Research would be necessary to develop the technology without compromising the central bank's ability to control its currency, etc., etc. The idea of countries launching their own electronic currencies has gained pace in recent weeks. No kidding! Anybody who watched this story from the start could have seen this coming a mile away. This should not be news. This should not be a surprise to anybody. But it is a surprise to some. Quote, the technology of Bitcoin, if suitably adapted, can be employed profitably in the Eurozone as a weapon against deflation! As a weapon against deflation! Against deflation! Which is what I have said from the start it would be used for! You've got to be kidding me! Unbelievable. Now what's the point of this video? Well, the point is, if you are still clinging to the notion that banks don't like the technology, they're afraid of the technology, it's the bane of their existence, if despite all of this you still think that, then maybe there's no possible way that I will ever reach you with anything rational about cryptocurrencies. If you're one of those people who still believes that these things are going away, I don't know what more you need to see. They're not going away. Bankers love this idea. Bankers can't wait to get involved in this idea. Bankers can do things with this idea. They can do things with this idea that you and I can't even dream of. And it's important for you to understand, because this time it was not different. It was never going to be different. It is not different now. It will not be different next time either. This is why it is important. For everyone that in the beginning got on board Bitcoins because this was different, no, it wasn't. Somewhere down the road, I hope, somewhere down the road, people will strike from the vocabulary, this time is different. I literally had people tell me those exact words, this time is going to be different. And when I would remind them, I know that's what people said about the gold and silver too. I know that's what people said about energy, stocks and oil prices in 2007, 2008. I know that's what we heard about, the .com bubble and real estate. I mean, I know it's always different, but it is never different. This video is not about Bitcoins. Bitcoins are not going anywhere but in the virtual and real wallets of people around the world. And if you don't believe that, you're going to wake up one day and you're going to say, well, gosh, now what do I do? Because whether or not you like it, digital currencies are not going away. It is a reality. It was always going to be a reality. It's a reality now. It will be a reality in the future. There is no other reality than that. And it is important for people to understand what is real versus what they want to be true. And for everyone who said, Bitcoins, this time is different, not only is it, was it, and it will not ever be different, it will absolutely be a reality that coming soon, not just within your lifetime, not just within the next decade, I don't even think 5 years out, you're going to see every major central bank around the world with their own version of some cryptocurrency, if not private companies doing the same thing, private banks. Not only is it not different this time, the reality is bankers aren't afraid of them. Bankers can't wait to open up the first international bank of Bitcoin. Thanks for watching. See you next video.